Prepare for a ghoulish time on the October episode of Matter of Fax. Introducing Alec Cranston, Dylan Curry, and James Collins.
You sounded like the Monster Mash. That was great.
You like that?
That was really good. Yeah, episode 7, ladies and gentlemen. Wow, time flies. It's been over 6 months we've been doing this now, from the pre-planning to now, and it's been a heck of a ride. Lots of fun. Lots of, like we've said before, lots of great guests lined up. We're getting a bit more creative, trying new things, and we have a pretty cool episode in store for you today. We have a Halloween, spooky, haunted-themed episode to be dropping for you, ladies and gentlemen, today. So, James, let's just shoot the shit for a minute here.
Let's do it.
Let's just shoot the shit. How are things for you? How are things going? How was this past month? I haven't talked to you in 2 hours.
It's been a good month. I'm a year older this month, but I'm in a bad mood today, and I'm going to apologize to everyone. Maybe, Alec, you did say to me before, you're potentially in a bit of a worse mood than usual.
Worse than usual, but I can't say I've probably been in the same worse mood as you.
I'm just going to be a grouch. See, what a lot of people don't realize is we interrupt our day to do these podcasts. We are full-time working commercial real estate agents, and we kind of pause what we're doing, and we come into the studio, and we love doing these podcasts, but they take place in the middle sometimes of very stressful days, and I'm just kind of having one of those days today.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Mine's not as bad as James, but, just a few things going sideways today. And then, above all, I lost my debit card, and it's going to take 2 weeks to get a new one.
Which is tapping its way around the city
city right now. Probably buying a couple coffees. But so, not the best, but we're still going to bring the energy for this podcast for all of our 100 listeners overall. We have some fun stuff in store. James, how about a little introduction about who we have coming on?
We are going to be joined very, very shortly by somebody simply known as Mr. Adams. And he's visiting us from up on high, by that I mean Citadel Hill. That's all we will tell you right now. Mr. Adams, will keep it vague, but I will say you do not want to miss this interview. It is mind-blowing stuff.
Very cool.
So
he's a few minutes early.
He's a few minutes early, but we are very much looking forward to having him sit down with us here in the studio.
Yeah, I'm pretty pumped about this. I mean, I only know, you know the ghost stories that you Google, top 5 in Halifax, top 10. You get the classics, the Citadel Hill, the Five Fishermen, the Keith's Brewery. But it'd be cool to hear. I've never gone on one of these ghost tours before. So to hear it from an interpreter himself and some maybe his own experiences he's had, I'm excited for this. This is going to be kind of cool, something a bit more unique. Then we have some other stuff afterwards. We're changing up one of our segments a little bit. And then we took a bit of a different approach with the Reddit Roundup today, which I think everyone will find amusing, and it might give us some ideas going forward. But to kick things off, we have our regular segment, Insane as the Crane.
Insane as the crane. Insane as the crane. Insane as the crane. Kinda insane like
the crane.
Insane as the crane.
I think we might need to switch up some of those little audio clips. I had all of those done on Fiverr, I'll admit.
I think we should record them ourselves.
We should do them ourselves.
Like our own duet kind of thing.
I think it would be good. Get Dylan involved too.
Insane as the crane.
We have Dylan Curry in the studio.
Insane as the crane.
As the crane. What English language?
Is the crane,
no,
isn't he?
what language? Insane is the crane.
He is 100% saying insane
is the crane. Crane is insane.
It sounds like is.
It's insane as the Cranston, Alec Cranston.
The Cranston crane.
Oh yeah, Alex Cranston.
That's where I got my name from. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all right, this month on Insane as the Crane, we are talking about the motion passed by Halifax City Council to reduce the hours of convenience stores in residential commercial areas on this lovely peninsula. The new bylaw proposes restricting hours for convenience stores, some convenience stores, from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. Now, it's only going to affect about 20 stores in Halifax, and only 5 will need to modify their hours of operation. And just to add a bit more context here, the motion states the change was due to complaints from neighbours, local councillors, and Halifax Regional Police, who have noted concerns with late-night hours of operation for food service and the resulting noise, trespass, and littering. Large numbers of consumers patronise some of these neighbourhood stores, with operating hours extending past 3 a.m. And the councillor who instigated it all says it's intended to address a loophole in the peninsula's land use bylaw, which allows residential convenience stores to serve hot food. Alec, Cranston, Dylan Curry, what do you make of this? We, I think, all believe this is unnecessary and unfair.
Yep, don't agree with it. It's unfortunate because a lot of these convenience stores probably do a majority of their business after 11 p.m., specifically on weekends. And, you know, I know it's tough because the recent Dalhousie homecoming fiasco was a bad look, but it's not an every night thing. And to have them have, is it every night or just on the weekends? It's every night.
Apparently every
but they
night.
have to close. They have to close at 11. If this were to go,
it's going to be
every
7,
night.
Yeah,
Like-
every night. I think.
Like
I could be wrong.
picture after 11 on a Tuesday, like that's all the locals. Like there's so many, like not just student homes, but family homes, senior homes, apartment buildings, schools all around. Like people get their late night convenience from there, and to shut them down at 11 is going to considerably hinder their business. And I think it's unfortunate. We've heard a couple stores voice their opinions, and you know, it'd be nice. I would have been nice to try and get a hold of one of them, but it's tough. They had a lot of media attention right now. But I don't agree with this. I think what doing that is not going to stop students or party goers from hanging out in the streets in all these areas. They're not going to say, oh, well, the convenience stores close at 11, so I guess I'm going home. Doesn't make a difference. And I think they've done well so far. The students, like even when I was in high school, we would go to these two corner stores all the time, end of the night, for a slice of pizza, and they loved it. Loved seeing everybody come, and everyone got along, and it was good. I mean, the odd time you do get a crazy situation like Dalhousie had, but that's not an everyday thing. It's not super often. I've seen some tweets on Twitter. Oh, that's obvious. Tweets on Twitter. There's some guys that'll tweet every night who live near some of these specific stores and say, oh, look, there we go, Thursday night, 11:30 p.m., not a soul. Right, so I just think it's unnecessary. I've talked for a long time. Any other opinions here?
Dylan, what do you think?
Complete agreement. It's pretty short-sighted. Didn't really think about it very much, obviously, because not everyone works at 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Some people, like nurses, doctors, whatever, healthcare professionals, workers, get off at 3.
Yeah.
Get off at 4 in the morning, and these places aren't necessarily open. And Sobeys isn't open anymore. Superstore's not open.
Yep.
Like, there's nowhere to go, so it's like, I guess you really got to prepare ahead, and it's kind of unfair that just a pretty big group of people is just being thrown to the wayside.
Yeah.
Forgotten about.
And I think AAA and Jubilee Junction have been the two that have come out and been very vocal in the media. And I think they've raised some very, very good points. You know, they are arguing they don't do business when the grocery stores are open. Like, they make the lion's share of their revenue, let's call it after hours. And the one big point here that I completely, I should give you a statistic here. The owner of AAA says about half of the daily sales come after 11 p.m. But the one really good point made is the safety of women as well, which is when these small convenience stores on the corner are open, they only have to walk a short distance at nighttime. And by closing those, you're forcing people to put themselves in danger on the streets for longer, to walk longer distances, either to a convenience store that is open in an area that is zoned appropriately, or maybe to a 24-hour grocery store. I do not agree with this. I think it is ironically a huge inconvenience to convenience stores. Yeah. And I don't know, part of me thinks, are they just trying to keep the rich people in the city happy? I don't know.
That's definitely an avenue to take. I agree with what Dylan said too about other workers getting off at different times. I think it's so short-sighted because they're only looking at these specific isolated scenarios of these large parties and what that does, and they're not even thinking about the effect it's going to have on those people who get off at 2 o'clock in the morning and need craft dinner for supper. They haven't eaten in hours. They need water. They need soap or whatever, right? And that's their place to go. And then it just, I think it's also, if you live in that area, and like you said, especially for the short distance for women for walking there, at night, if you get off work late and you need something instantly and there's no grocery store open and there's no convenience store open around you, then you got to travel a distance. And it's, there's risks involved in that for sure. And it's just, especially if you're off work at 2 a.m. I'm going on a tangent now.
No, you do. You show some passion.
You get off work at 2 a.m. or 1 a.m. You're dead tired. You get home, there's a convenience store next to you. Oh, no, sorry, it's closed because we're pissed off about these one group of partiers that were a little bit too loud and left some wrappers around that we'll clean up. But it's just, then they have to travel, get in their car, dead tired at 2 a.m. somewhere that has it, driving the road tired, whatever, hungry, dehydrated. It's just, I'm going off now, but that's kind of the rabbit hole I go down. I think it's unreasonable. I think it's catering, like you alluded to there. It's catering to a certain population of
by not catering
exactly by saying like, well, these other people are upset, so we're going to listen to their complaints. Get over it. Order your Uber, order your Skip, order your DoorDash, get it to your door, let everyone else go to the convenience stores. Anyways, I'm done my part there.
Well, I think the calling on this loophole is like the technicality here that maybe applies. We'll name Councillor Mason told City News the bylaw was needed because all the land use bylaws in other communities in Halifax don't allow hot food service in residential corner stores, and the old bylaw that grandfathers the stores affected did not define grocery, so 9 or 10 years ago hot food service started to be served in the heart of residential neighborhoods. So that really is the issue, isn't it? The issue isn't the kids, it's the fact that they're serving food that the kids are buying. I don't know. I think this is short-sighted. I think in an era and climate where we're trying to promote small local business, we're saying this is now forcing you to give your money to the big chains, or to change the culture of very important parts of our city.
Yeah.
We all disagree. Can we all vote?
I think we can all
100%.
agree that we all disagree. This is, I think it's ridiculous.
Do we call it insane?
This is definitely insane.
As the Crane?
As the Crane.
Well, there we go. Let's move on.
Inconvenience.
In Cranston.
Oh, I wanted to say that.
Inconvenience. I'll see
No,
myself
not that.
out
That
now.
was
See you
dumb.
later. Guys.
All right, we'll say goodbye to Alec.
Yeah,
and I think we should bring in a guest, don't you?
Let's do it. Let's bring him in, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it.
So we had 4 of us in the room before, but now we have 5 people, and we are joined by Mr. Adams. Good afternoon, Mr. Adams.
Hello.
Thank you very much for joining us. Tell us who you are. We are all very, very curious, and so are our listeners.
Well, I'm one of the many historic interpreters at the Halifax Citadel who conduct a program that we call the Halifax Citadel Ghost Tour, which is about an hour-long program in which visitors come up to the Citadel and we take them as close as we possibly can to the locations inside the old historic fort where some unexplained events have taken place.
Well, we'd love to hear more about those. And the Citadel is an interesting thing for people from Halifax, all of us in the room included. I'm not from here, as you can tell originally, and everybody who visits me goes there. But as locals, we often don't tend to visit, but it's a thing that is in all of our lives. It's something, particularly those of us who live and work downtown, see every day. A lot goes on behind those walls that we don't know about, I'm sure, and a lot has gone on in the past.
Yes, yeah. And that's a common thing, is that a lot of local people, they'll come up to the Citadel and visit for the first time in their lives, and they'll say, I didn't know all this stuff was up here. I had no idea. Because a lot of people walk by the hill and they see maybe a couple of flagpoles or a couple, the tops of some stone walls sticking out, and a lot of people go, there's nothing up there. There's nothing there for me. And then once people finally get the idea to go up and visit, they go, holy smokes, there's so much up here. It's like it's a lot bigger on the inside than it looks from the outside.
Yeah.
Which sounds like a bit of a paradox, but it's all part of having the military high ground advantage.
Yeah. I haven't been, last time I was inside the Citadel I think I was a young boy. I haven't been there in a long, long time. And it's long overdue to go check it out.
Well, come on up. It's just like 2 blocks up there.
And it's crazy. I live across the street from it. I see it every day. I hear the cannon go off. I went to the high school that it's the namesake, right? So I got to get back in there. So do you guys operate? Is it all day or just at nighttime that you guys will do your tours?
Well, sometimes at night we do have public ghost tours during our sort of late summer and fall season. And we also offer evening tours or ghost tours throughout the year.
Right.
So if it's the middle of February and you're sitting around at home going, what am I going to do tonight? Just go, I'm going to go get a tour of the Citadel.
Yeah.
And they're popular, right? You guys, from what I see on the Eventbrite booking page, you sell everything out.
I don't actually count the beans myself. I do the presentation, but I'll just say I assume we do fairly well.
Yeah, it seems. I've tried to book a few times and have been unsuccessful. So let's exactly. Let's go behind the walls of the Citadel here. Now we want people to come on these tours. We're not expecting you to tell us everything today, but can you tell us some things that our local listeners might not know that might maybe put some hairs on the back of their necks to stand up?
Well, maybe I can just be a little bit vague and say that the unexplained events that we cover during our ghost tours. Well, first of all, some people think that ghost tours are like some kind of a ghost hunt. Like people think they're going to go to this event and there's going to be a ghost of some kind. And people are deadly serious about this. We get a lot of people come up for their first ever ghost tour, and they come up, and the first thing they say when they see me is they say, "Are you the ghost that I'm looking for?" I'm like,
I will tell you, Mr. Adams, you do not look like a ghost.
Thank you very much. Thank you. What we do is, like, people think it's going to be like a scare thing, or there's going to be people in costumes dressed up as ghosts. This is a relatively serious program. It's kind of an investigation of the folklore and mythology of the Halifax Citadel in particular. And people say, "Ooh, this must be an extremely haunted place," or something like that. But when you think about it, like any workplace, or not even workplace, but just a place where people convene and live, they tend to gather like dust stories that are kind of unexplainable. You know what I'm talking about?
Right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So really all we did was we just recorded and assembled as many of these stories as we possibly could.
And how far back do you go? What's the, is it from the historical history of the birth of Halifax and the Citadel through to today, or do you tend to focus on one period?
I'm not really restricted to any time periods, thank goodness. So we go from, what's our earliest story? Probably like the 1740s. So we're talking pre-Halifax. And our most recent stories are like from, a couple of weeks or years ago or whatnot.
Really? Oh, so it's still writing itself.
A couple of weeks ago.
Well, like I say, workplaces accumulate, unexplained events. And you may be wondering, what am I talking about when I say unexplained events? It's sometimes as simple as the type of thing where, if you're at home and you leave a nice piece of chocolate cake in the fridge overnight, and when you go to eat it in the morning, it's not there. And your roommates say that they didn't eat it, and now everyone says
the dog can't open the fridge door.
Exactly. So everyone goes, "Ooh, that must be." We don't know what it is, and it might be ghosts.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's things as simple as that, just sort of weird coincidences.
Okay. Has there been you've probably told many stories.
Yes.
On your tours, is there any one story in particular you find resonates the most with tour, like with guests, like one that they're like, gives them the heebie-jeebies, like one that really gets them going, and it's might not be recent, could be a very old, something that happened a long time ago, but just something that you notice that they receive very well. Well, maybe not very well, but they get spooked by it.
I can't really say one sticks out more than another. You never know what's going to catch people off guard.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll just say something that I think is a minor incident, and it'll make people, scream and drop whatever they're carrying. And I'll go, "Oh, wasn't expecting to get such a huge reaction."
Oh yeah. So do you ever, like, do you tell multiple stories as you go, or maybe for one whole tour you'll pick one story and you'll almost like, do you ever like get into character and you become that character of a story?
Okay, well, we don't actually act. We literally just sort of speak facts, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we wear the historic clothing.
Yeah.
But we're not like portraying first person someone. So I wouldn't act. I don't act when I do a ghost story.
Yeah.
You get in the
and who are the guests? I mean, obviously, I know they come from all walks of life, but do you find maybe you have different tours for different age groups, but I'm sure you get everything from the families through to tourists through to couples. And is it really a whole mix of every slice of humanity? Because we're all inherently curious, aren't we? Curious people.
I find it a mix. I don't find we get a whole lot of tourists per se. It's not really the type of thing typically that people would do on a tour. But I find you can divide people into two different categories. There are those people who are interested in paranormal activity and whatnot, and they sort of associate unexplained events with paranormal activity, and they're very, very tuned in on what's going on. The other type of person that you get is the person who's kind of been maybe dragged along by their friends, and they don't really know why. They don't even necessarily know they're at a ghost tour, and they're a little bit disengaged and disinterested. They're like, "Why am I here?" Those are my people.
Okay,
I
because
love them.
Oh, you
leave
get-
them saying, "I cannot believe I almost didn't go."
Exactly. I charm these people. I
Right.
make sure they're
Nice.
they're fascinated by the time the night is over.
And you know, I'm assuming part of your work is you want people to leave engaged enough that it's something they continue reading about and learning about and exploring about themselves. You don't want them to say, okay, you've been on the tour, thank you. You never have to think about what you've learned today. I'm sure for some people, they go away and think, wow, there is this whole history in the city that I now need to learn about.
Yeah, that's something that I hope for. It's not really a requirement, and I'm not wrestling with people going, "Ooh, this is going to be a meaningful, experience for you that's going to change your life," or anything like that. Some people just want to go in and experience the tour and leave unchanged, and that's perfectly fine by me. But anyone who does want to dig deeper, I'm a bottomless pit I'm a fountain of trivia when it comes to what's the word for it? Non-canonical local history, I guess you
Right.
call it.
So we were talking about personal haunting experiences we've
Yes.
had, and from a personal perspective, what would you say is the most recent paranormal activity you've experienced? Something that maybe not on a tour, just on your own, maybe from working up there or elsewhere in the city, experienced or saw or heard.
Right. I hate to be so evasive. You notice I haven't told the story yet?
That's okay.
I'm not doing that on purpose. I talk about unexplained events at the Citadel. I'm not necessarily the guy out there being involved in
Right.
paranormal activities.
Yeah.
Everyone looks at me and goes, "Oh, he must be contacting spirits."
Who are you channeling, Mr. Adams?
Yeah,
That kind of
exactly,
stuff.
exactly. Yeah. I'm the guy who researches the material, and then along with the whole team, we present the material.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, I'm wandering a bit. What was the question again?
No, just like if you ever had a personal paranormal activity and experience.
You know,
saw apparition. Was it apparition? Is the word? Apparition.
apparition, sure.
Apparition.
Yeah.
If you ever saw something, heard something, someone spoke, like a cold gust of wind. What are you laughing at? I say every podcast, I mess up a word, and
wanna
that's
make
the
up-
word.
That was it for this month.
That's
We're
it for
happy you
that
did
month.
it.
So
Anyway, sorry to
continue.
interrupt.
Keep
Yeah.
going. You only mess up one word per.
Usually one per podcast. Like right, I just say what did I say one time? Perspirating.
It doesn't matter. Keep going.
Okay.
Perspirating.
That is the word. That's the funny thing. That is a joke.
Oh, I said- I think I
Perspirating
said-
is a
I think
word.
I said
That's a real
precipitate.
word.
Perspirating. It's sweating.
It's one of those rare words that nobody ever uses.
I know. I never.
It still calls itself a word.
Exactly.
Okay, word.
So yeah, my question was if you ever had any personal, so like not necessarily going out and trying to be involved in one, but
Yeah.
just something happened one night.
Well, I'm just gonna say no.
Okay.
I don't. I'm not someone who believes in ghosts.
Right.
Necessarily.
Right.
Like I sort of research the content for the ghost tours, but like
Yeah.
I say, I'm not out there actually fighting ghosts myself.
So that research, let's talk about that. What
Yeah.
is, if we go on a ghost tour tonight, presumably that is from yourself and others, the culmination of hundreds, maybe thousands of hours of research. What is the research process? Where does it take place? What does it look like?
It's really ugly because I'm a bit of a compulsive researcher, meaning like I'm not a historian or a professional researcher or anything like that, but I'm the person that when I start looking into a subject, I literally can't stop. I like lose hours.
You
of
find the
time.
rabbit holes and just dig.
They find me.
They find you.
and they turn on their like suction that drags you right down into them. Yeah, so it's very often like me at home at 2:30 in the morning, banging away on a laptop or something, digging up information when I'm supposed to be at work in 4 hours time or something
Yeah.
like that. So it's something I literally can't help. I'm constantly researching.
Yeah, I find myself somebody who again doesn't necessarily believe in these kind of things,
Yeah.
but I love looking it up, watching shows. Fun fact, I was in a show in one of those like reenactment documentaries. It was called Alaskan Triangle,
Yeah.
and I reenacted this minor thing. And even being on set was creepy. I didn't feel haunted. Didn't think it was what I didn't listen to the story or whatever. But I was like, it's just cool. I find it very cool hearing about the history, which makes me want to go on one of these tours, which I sadly have never done, but I do want to go on one now because I just to hear I'm a big history buff.
Yeah.
So to hear it from that perspective, I think is pretty cool.
Well, that totally makes sense. You don't have to be a believer to like how you hear about people, who get degrees in theology or something.
Yep.
And they study all kinds of different. It doesn't mean they're necessarily subscribing to all these.
No,
Yeah,
100%.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's very true.
Now, I say I don't necessarily believe in paranormal activity. Let's say, on the other hand, I do believe in, a type of spirituality.
Yep.
That is actually pretty darn practical, like inspiration.
Yeah.
If you see me doing a trick with a yo-yo, you might be inspired to do the same thing. And that word inspired, that's got spirit in it.
Right.
So something about my spirit is influencing you. And if we add an interesting element to the story and say that I actually died a little while ago and you are now influenced by my yo-yoing and it changes your life, then you could say you were being inspired by the spirit.
Okay,
and
I like that.
happens all the time. You say, oh, my favorite composer lived in such and such. Well, he's not around anymore, but there is still some spiritual activity.
Yeah,
if you will.
I never thought of it that way. I like
I think
that.
we do
I
it
like
with
that.
relatives as well. I was very close to my one grandfather, and he died over a decade ago. But I still, when I face big decisions, think, and I don't believe I'm contacting him at all. I don't believe that for 1 second. But I still think, what would he do? What did I observe him do in his life that influences the decision I'm about to make? And I'm like, wow, here is this relative who's died, who is having a profound effect on decisions I'm making in the present. And to me, I see that as kind of a ghost. It's me being influenced and led by somebody who is no longer here based on the memories and interactions I had with them. So you can still have a huge influence even when you're not here.
That's exactly right, and that's a real thing, and it especially happens around, times when you have the loss of a loved one. You'll kind of feel like that loved one is trying to contact you, like maybe saying hello to you in a dream or something like that, or popping up where you least expect them.
Yeah.
And there's another eerie type, which is, I had a friend of mine named Corey a long time ago who ended up unfortunately dying, and is a very, very nice guy, instantly recognizable. He sort of had a slightly not triangular shaped face, but he had that brush cut flat top hair.
Angular.
Yeah, angular. And he always had a nice big smile on his face.
Look
He'd
like the
always
Canadian Tire logo.
He was always riding his bike down Spring Garden Road and everything. Anyway, after this guy passed away, whenever I was on Spring Garden Road, I'd always go, oh my gosh, there comes my friend. That's my friend Corey coming down the street. And as you get closer and closer, I would realize that's not Corey at
Right.
all. That's just some random dude on a bike. But then I go, oh no, there he is over there. And you start seeing the thing that you're thinking about, the thing that's maybe, shall we say, haunting your mind and your memory. You're thinking about your loved ones and whatnot.
That's an interesting way of
We're
thinking
learning a
about it.
lot right now about.
I just never thought of it that way, but now I do. I think
Well,
I think that's
Maybe learning, but literally, this is just my opinion. I don't think there's any textbook saying this is the way spiritualism works.
I think you need to join us more often. We're learning a lot here.
I know.
I would love to come down here.
We have to have a regular segment on this. This is fun.
Actually,
good
are
idea.
you guys both intending on remaining? Is there going to be an opening soon?
Oh, I think, I mean, we'll probably get rid of Alec at some point.
I'd join the team.
Oh yeah,
Join the team.
I'm definitely on the chopping block.
Yeah, he's under
pun intended.
review right now.
So for next, each year, when you guys plan out your stories at Citadel Hill, when you said some of them are pretty recent, you said even when they happened.
They happen whenever they happen.
Right.
We just keep collecting them.
So sometimes even you said 2 weeks ago even.
It could be 2 weeks ago. But the thing is, we don't use all the incidents
Right.
that get reported to us.
Yeah.
What was it? I had a security guard come up to me and say, "Ooh, Mr. Adams," he said, "I might have a story for you." And I very often kind of go, "All right, tell me, go ahead." And the security guard said that he was in his office the night before, and his phone rang and his lights went off at the same time. And a mop fell on his desk where he had a dinner plate preparing his dinner, and the plate went flying across the room. And then he heard somebody screaming on the side of Citadel Hill at the same time that all this happened. And he said, "What do you think about that?" And I said, "Ooh, I'll write
Just
that
take out
down."
my notebook here.
Yeah,
take that
exactly.
one.
But that literally just sounds like somebody having a bad night, to tell you the truth. I wouldn't, you know what I mean? I would kind of vet that story out.
Yeah.
I'd say,
There's an explanation possibly for it.
well, yeah.
And I think even if there is an explanation, it's what it means to you.
Yeah. I guess,
Because
yeah.
we have a relative in our family who has a deep connection and finds very deep meaning in things that sometimes I will be combative over conversation with and try to provide a very upfront logical explanation for. But then I have to sit back and realize she's taking meaning from this, and I think it's important to let people. Would you agree, Mr. Adams? To
course.
let people have that.
That's
I might say
absolutely right.
the wind blew in the right direction at the wrong time, and that's why something fell over. But to somebody else, it's a relative who's passed on, leaving a sign. But who am I to tell them not to take something from it?
That's exactly right. And speaking of ghosts, that's a very cultural thing. So you're going to have different types of ghosts in different types of cultures, and you're going to have cultures where, you know, if something unexplained happens, people are going to blame it on, you know, leprechauns or Bigfoot or the, you know, Loch Ness monster or something. You know what I mean? Or pixies or elves or whatnot. It just so happens in our culture, when something happens, like, ooh, that door closed by itself, you don't say, that's got to be the Loch Ness monster. You know what? We don't say that. We automatically, who do we blame? Who's our scapegoat?
Trudeau.
We always say it's those darn dead people. That's who it is.
Trudeau.
Sorry.
You would go that way. No, that's exactly.
Ghosts.
It's like what we were saying there about, you know, it's up to interpretations and opinions, and you let someone believe what they want to believe. It's like you see the, you know, to one person there's some, you know, ghoulish figure in the corner of my bedroom looking at me while I'm sleeping. To someone else, that's a hoodie and on a pile of dirty clothes, right? Like it's all about perspective, and honestly, some of the viewpoints we have today are ones I've never really had. Like especially when you were talking about how spirits, there is a sense of spirituality out there. Now I'm going to think about that more. You know, take this away and think more on it. And I'm probably end up Googling some stories and stuff too after
Well,
this.
and isn't it quite beautiful and amazing that one thing can mean different things to different people as well?
Yeah.
I think that's important, that we don't all have, you know, we all try to reach in society on some things, particularly politically, we try to reach, or culturally, a common consensus. But I think, and Mr. Adams, you feel free to chime in here, there are some things in life that we need to leave up to our own personal interpretation.
Of course. And when you get into the folklore and mythology, there's no rules. There's none at all. It's literally what you want to get out of it.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, well, this has been super insightful, and we were having a chat before we threw the microphones open. I understand you've had a very, very good year at the Citadel with the ghost tours. Have a little chat about maybe what's coming up next year, 2023. There's opportunities for local people to come and meet you and take a walk and learn some more about this city.
I'm told there will be another season yet again, starting in the summer of next year. And we'll be doing public ghost tours, hopefully, you know, around 3 nights a week if we can. But always remember, you can always call the Citadel and get a privit tour.
I was just going to ask that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, anytime that you want. Like if you're
So those are 12 months right through the year?
Oh, yeah, all year round. And people don't think about it, you don't think about a ghost tour in the middle of the winter, do you?
No.
I know for some reason people associate Halloween with scariness, and they associate ghosts with scariness. So everybody wants to have their ghost tour right around Halloween.
Yeah.
So we do get very busy, but geez, next time you're wondering what to do on, you know, March the 3rd on a Tuesday evening.
Yeah.
I wonder why people don't use this as like a date night.
I was-
more.
yeah.
I was just going to ask you if you've ever
really.
done a wedding or anything like that, because seriously, wouldn't that be fun if you had the reception and then you had your cocktail hour and then you put the lights off, grab the lanterns, and took everybody on a
They
on a
do weddings
nighttime
there. I
walk
was
of the
gonna
city.
ask if they ever add that kind of element to weddings there. I saw a videos of someone that did get married. Do they ever add that aspect of it to it?
Totally, you
Yeah.
can, and they add it to corporate events. And,
nice.
anyone who's having an event at the Citadel, if they want to, they can sign up for a ghost tour as well and get that added on.
So the regular Citadel Hill website, or does the society have a separate webpage?
It's halifaxcitadel.ca, is it now?
Yeah,
Okay, there you go.
You got you checked?
I'm checked.
halifaxcitadel.ca.
Yeah, that's the one.
Mr. Adams, we thank you very much for coming in. On
that's
behalf of all of us.
I could have gone on for several more hours.
I know.
This will not be the
This
first.
is not
not the last time.
you're on here with us.
Do you guys have a job application or something?
We'll
can fill out?
slide you a piece of paper there. Yeah.
We'll make it a regular thing.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely want
I
to get you
still
back
didn't
on.
tell any stories about the Citadel, but really I want people to come up and experience the stories.
Yeah.
We wanted to generate that curiosity today, and we encourage all of our listeners to get involved and ditch the Christmas party plan that you had to just go and get hammered somewhere and do something different.
I'm definitely going. I'm definitely doing this.
Good.
It's gonna be a
Big
lot of
time.
fun. You're gonna go, Dylan?
Why not?
Oh yeah,
Sounds wicked.
It's gonna be fun.
Sounded awesome.
Yeah. Sounds
Thank you.
great. Thank you very much for
See
coming
you
on.
guys up there.
Perfect. I love it. All right, Mr. Adams, that was a great time, James, wouldn't you say?
That was really good. And
Yeah.
just to give some context to our listeners, again, with our guests, we don't really set much up in advance. We're big here on casually putting people around a table, throwing the mic open and seeing what happens. And
Yeah.
we did not know what was going to happen there, and it was great.
No, it was terrific. Definitely like to get him on again sometime. And I now encourage everybody, including ourselves, to get up to the Citadel Hill Ghost Tours and experience that firsthand. And maybe you will find Mr. Adams up there himself. All right.
What's up next?
Well, before we start, last podcast was for James's birthday was coming up, and I have a gift that I forgot to give him. So I'm going to give it to him. And the cool thing is, we can kind of share it because it makes sounds.
I'm very curious.
You should be curious. I'm just reaching down. Sorry it took me so long
It's
to
in a
reach down.
Lululemon bag, so
Yes.
it's a $500
Jenna's lunch
t-shirt.
bag. It's in Jenna's lunch bag. But here we go. A gift for James. It's the last one. It's a keychain
Oh, wow.
from the office. Yeah, an
Wow,
office
wow, wow.
keychain. There's 5 buttons on there.
There's 6 buttons on there.
Oh, 6. Go
So
up
this is a red keychain,
Bring it
and
up
there's
close to the
6
mic.
buttons. So I'm going to bring it up to the mic here. Apparently, I like getting close to the microphone.
Mm.
And we're going to play the sounds. There is a beautiful picture of Michael Scott. One of the early
it's
seasons
nice.
of The Office. Steve
like
Carell.
that's a nice one.
That's a handsome man.
The hairline's back.
He's
looking sharp.
my age there. Okay, let's see what he says. You ready?
Yep.
So I'm going to play each of the 6 buttons
All
and
right.
press it into the mic, the keychain.
Let's do it.
That's what she said. That's what she said.
That's what she said.
I don't have some case. I might die.
I might die, Stanley
The thing to stay better is ice cream. I just want to lie on the beach and eat hot dogs.
Okay,
Oh.
number 5.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much.
That's one of the best. That's very early
I
on.
love
That's
that line.
Second
I love that
episode.
line.
Right, number 6.
My kids, you ever seen a foot with 4 toes?
Oh, that's Creed.
Creed, what are you doing?
Well, thank you, Alec.
Yeah, no problem. I
a
figured it's
gift.
just a fun little gift, That
I-
was actually the first thing I bought you, and I forgot to bring it.
No, I like it. I like it. I will push the buttons with pride.
Very nice. Very nice.
That's a good one.
I got some candy for everyone because it's Halloween.
Oh, really?
Oh, thanks, Dad.
Say trick or treat.
Trick or treat.
I'm actually really scared.
I'll tell you, I
That actually is candy.
Oh, wow.
And here's the thing:
I got
this,
nervous.
this wasn't something I planned, and you need to be needlessly excited for. I ran to the dollar store, or as I like to call it, $10 armor these days with the prices. And do you remember when everything was like I used to go and buy loads of stuff. We like moving out of an apartment, and I buy everything I needed to clean for $9. Dollar armor's at the point now where they're going to have payment plans soon. It's that bad.
It's nuts.
But I was so hungry, I swang by for a snack on the way, and I just picked these up.
Who goes?
This wasn't like a big thing.
Who goes? I'm kind of hungry. I need a snack. I'm gonna go to the dollar.
Dollar store. And
I'm gonna swing by the dollar.
No, this
Hey,
one-
honey, I'm kind of hungry. Can you give me some? Yeah, I'll go to the dollar store. What do you want?
Can I get some shitty chocolate?
shitty chocolate and floor cleaner.
I'll get some.
Yeah.
I think you can get noodles there. That's probably like the main food.
I don't want anything name brand. It's all has to be off
It's right next to McDonald's. No, honey, we're going to the Dollarama. They got a drive-through yet? No.
The best thing is, eat some chocolate when you're this close to a microphone. It's going to be wonderful for everybody listening at
Is
home.
that, you want me to do that?
Yeah, I want you to eat a chocolate.
Okay.
We're gonna pass
This
them
one
down
looks
here
like-
as well. Chocolates for everyone.
James, did you bite this one already?
No, I didn't.
Well, then I don't want it.
What do you think, Alec? This is made 5 years ago, this stuff.
It's just like the wrapper. It's just like the scary,
Whoa.
scary
That is
pirate.
really bad chocolate. Oh my god. That tastes like an advent calendar from 1985.
The chocolate looks nothing like the packaging.
Yeah, it tastes a little bit like there's a lot of almond extract in that.
Okay.
So
Boneheads.
we don't have a new kid on this block this month. It's not because nothing exciting has opened up. It's because nothing worthy of being on the show has opened up. Right, Alec? Yes. He's just donned his sunglasses. So we figured we'd have a little Halloween round table, Dylan, Alec, and I. What are your opinions on Halloween? And we asked this question to Mr. Adams. What stories of the unexplained do you have?
Well, I actually came prepared with a story myself. James, I've heard you had a bad day, so I did prepare a little story. Let me begin by telling my story. Many years ago, on a frigidly cold, harrowingly dreary, and unsettling night in Halifax, Nova Scotia, there was a man who went by the name Samaj Snillik. Mr. Snillik was a peaceful man, rarely causing a disturbance. He was a run-of-the-mill real estate agent, did his deals, made his coin, and went home to make love to his wife. Until one fateful evening, Mr. Snillik was conducting a showing at a decrepit, abandoned, yet still somehow for sale, building with a healthy collection of mold, mildew, and asbestos, coupled with ample dead rats and an on-site guillotine. This 800 square foot, $1.3 million property was surely not going to last. The buyer insisted that Mr. Snillik take a photo under the guillotine. Snillik was reluctant, but if you know Mr. Snillik, you know there is nothing he won't do for his clients. Nothing. Like at all. He will do anything you ask. Once Mr. Snillik was in position, the buyer did something that Mr. Snillik never saw coming. He began to negotiate. He used the guillotine as leverage, but Mr. Snillik would not budge, which is not surprising because, like I said, he will do anything for his clients. It got to a tipping point, the final straw, if you will. Mr. Snillik drenched in his own sweat and urine. He's already lost his client hundreds of dollars. So his client says, you will either take a 0.01% cut on your commission, or you will die. Without hesitation, Mr. Snillik pulled the lever and he severed his own head. For he, Mr. Snillik, would rather die at the guillotine than to make any less money than what he is worth. And to this day, Samaj Snillik still haunts the streets of Halifax. Common locations to watch out for the ghoul of Mr. Snillik includes Steve Orino's Cappuccino, Moxie's all locations, random sushi joints, and occasionally Pleasures and Treasure.
Oh my gosh! Give him a round of applause. That was literally something else.
He played so many different characters. You hear all those accents?
Yeah.
A couple were popping
Well,
out
he
there.
pulls out, he says
Classically
he's
trained.
got something amazing and pulls out with that.
Oh, yeah.
Off the cuff
That's
as well.
all for you. I created that half hour before the show at home.
Well, that was epic. I like it. I think we need a transcript.
It's great.
And that's a poem for the one of the
Mr.
greats.
Adams would have liked that, I think. I would have been taking his job.
Yeah, I know. I think there's a risk there.
I think he wants to take your job too.
I know, I heard that. I was a little... anyways.
No, he should.
So that's my ghost story. That's my ghost story. My experience with Halloween in general is... last time I trick-or-treat, I think me and my buddy, Will, shout out Willie G, we went trick-or-treating in grade 10, and we called it One Last Kick at the Can, and we put on a couple masks, and we went around the south end of Halifax. And we got a couple funny looks, right? Because we looked
Funny-looking kids.
funny-looking kids
chocolate.
wearing not really much of a costume. Like, I think Will had like a plastic machete, and we had a couple masks on, but we're asking for candy, and meanwhile there's little kids running around, right? And it's like some of the people giving the candy, like, come on, guys, like, you're gonna take this big chocolate bar.
Grow up.
Oh yeah, no, it's
Grow
true. We should have grown up, and that was the last time I trick or treated. But I used to thoroughly enjoy it. We used to always go to my grandmother's neighborhood growing up because I lived way too far out to even trick or treat when I was younger, and it was in the Hydrostone in the North End, and it was a gold mine for trick or treating. Going up all those side streets like Klein, Hennessy, Isleville's down. Isleville, is that how you pronounce it? That's down below.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that was
you mean Blue Nose Street?
right on. Tall Ship Silva.
Yeah,
Anyways, that was a gold mine for trick-or-treating because everyone had candy, big chocolate bars, average-sized chocolate bars too, some below average, but below average is fine too. So that's my experience with trick-or-treating. I loved it. I loved it.
The old 6-inch Mars bar.
That's a massive Mars bar.
perfect.
I've never seen
They do a double one now as well. Have you seen that?
12-inch.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just like 4 inches, 8. I mean, it's better than 6, right?
I don't know, but is it better than 4? 3? 2?
More the merrier.
All right, I'm still out of breath from my story, so James, can you pick up where I've left off?
Yeah, can you start the 2-minute Halloween rant timer for me? I'm going to have a bit of a rant.
Yes, and
Go. So, I don't have kids, and maybe I'm just a grouch. Generally, I'm a grouch today anyway, but maybe because of this. But my problems with Halloween have generally been the ungrateful greed of the parents. And where we are in Bedford, it's extremely popular. The cops one year shut the street down because they just don't want the traffic coming through. There's that many kids. So the one year I made up all these, went to Bulk Bar, and I got wrapped candy, because you always give wrapped candy. But I separated it into little bags, little Halloween-themed bags, made about 100 of these things, handing them out on the doorstep. And about 20 minutes in, one of the parents looks at me, and I put one in the kid's pillowcase, and she says, "Can he only have one?" Yes, the kid can only have one, because when I talk to people with children and ask them about Halloween, they say, well, what we actually do is when the kids go home, we take half of their Halloween candy and we eat it. The parents eat it.
Halloween tax.
That's the tax on driving them around. The cost of gas, it costs $150 to go trick-or-treating this year. So I'm not their parents to feed you, I'm afraid. And the time I really lost my rag was I had a bit of a stressful year with trick-or-treaters for this very reason. And I left the remaining bowl of candy, which was pretty full, outside on the doorstep. And the doorbell went, and I was stood pretty close to the door, and I thought, kids can help themselves. And we put a little sign there saying, please be considerate of others, and take a handful. And I heard the father from the end of the driveway go, "Oh, yeah, no, just put the whole thing in your pillowcase." And the kid picks up
Were
the
you
bowl.
in Spryfield? Where were you at?
Oh,
Bedford, what do you expect? Entitled.
No, I was in Sackville. And
Dylan,
If you were in
we
Bedford,
are
it'd be
the
like,
most
it'd be like,
respectful people.
oh no, yeah, it's in
Ever.
Sackville. Yeah.
Nothing
I live
bad
in the
happens
Bedford
there.
ghetto, I'll have you know. I live in the ghetto of Bedford. But anyway, this father went, "Oh, just pour it all in." And I thought, wow, here we go again with ungrateful parents. So most years with Halloween, with the way parents act, I just want to throw the towel in.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, that's fair.
Because they're either saying, is this all you're giving them? Yes, because you're going to knock 100 other doors tonight, so that is all I'm giving. Or the parent that suggests the child literally takes what was probably about 5 pounds of candy and pours it into his pillowcase. So there we go. Just a big grouch. Happy
No, it's
Halloween.
okay. I was never
Yeah,
a huge fan of the trick or treating portion of if I didn't know the area, because I was used to be scared of dogs. And you never know what you're getting when you knock on the door. You never know what you're getting. And
okay,
there was always those people who would turn.
They could have a 6-pound poodle. Imagine that.
You know what's crazy? You know what's crazy is like in this.
I don't know why he's a British dog with a high
British
pitched
dog
voice.
with a high, likes trick or treating. It's funny. Like when we were trick or treating as kids, there was always those few houses in the neighborhood that would create like a haunted house and be like, "Come on in."
Oh, they're the scariest.
Yeah,
man.
come into my house now. Like nowadays, it's like you tell the kids, "Come on in." They're like, "What the fuck? No, you can't come in." It's kind of like creepy. But back then, it was like, "Oh, you got to go in, go
Yeah.
check out the haunted house." And we had one haunted house in Armdale. It used to have like God Lover. What's that? Is that the Theodore tugboat?
No, I'm just pointing. All the ferries look like they're about to meet for a meeting. They're all converging
Gonna
like
have a
they're
kiss.
having a meeting.
I think
kiss.
I've
Time for a
seen
gift.
this song before.
Sorry, Alec, I
What's the other
interrupted you
thing?
there.
No, it's okay. I lost my train of thought because the Metro Transit guys are about to have Halifax Explosion round 2.
Whoa.
But what?
Hey.
You're talking about, I
Hey.
think, the point that, that's a sore spot, particularly if you're a victim.
I'm still licking my wounds in that one.
No, I think the point we're making here is, parents tell the children all year, don't knock on strange doors. Or the big thing with us, if we were kids, was if you're out and about and you're having a problem, so someone's ill, falling off their bike or whatever, you don't just knock a door. You go into a shop, or you've got the block mum or something, the trusted person on the street. But then Halloween is this day where you drop your kids off and you say, hey, go knock every doors and take things for them. And the other thing I love is the fake story that does the rounds every
love
year
that one.
on Twitter and
a good
Reddit
one.
that someone's putting razor blades in the candy.
Never happened.
Those get out of hand too, right? They're just like,
Or it's like poisoned.
there's some crazy large item like, oh, everyone be careful this year. They're putting, certified forklift licenses in my candy bar or something crazy, right? Or watch out, there's a dinosaur. That's a stupid example.
Mommy, I've got a Mars bar, some Skittles, and a microwave.
Oh, honey, I like that Mars bar. It's a little bit small. No, I have. Do you guys do a lot of trick or treating over there? or
Not
no?
much these days because it's kind of creepy when a 35-year-old knocks a door.
No, I meant like when you were growing up over in.
Well,
other side of the pond.
Halloween is a complete non-event. But what you do, and this is what you do, is you go to like your grandparents' house or your best friend's house. You just kind of selectively knock the doors. You don't go into a street and knock every door. So when we were kids, my parents would have enough candy for the kind of friends that would knock. But the one year my friends and I was probably about 12, we decided without our parents, but with their permission, to go out and trick or treat. Now, it's not a thing in the UK. So the first thing, I don't know why I'm laughing. It was awful. The one thing we did, I was an old man, fortunately will be long dead now, came out with all this money and try to give us money to like get off his property, which we didn't take. We were smart enough to not do that. Then we went about 3 or 4 streets away and knocked a random door, and a woman comes out with like a Rottweiler on a leash, and it's going it's a dog impression.
That is Alex Fear. That's
a
what he was
great
scared
impression.
And it was like stood up on its legs, and she literally went like, if you don't get off my effing property, I'm going to let go of this effing leash and the effing dog's going to eat your effing head off. So we ran away screaming and we ended up going back home. I was like, this is just not worth it. We're either
Traumatic.
being bribed to get off someone's property they're scared with money, or we're going to get eaten alive by an angry dog.
You should have taken the money.
You think so?
Yeah, why wouldn't
I feel like you would
It's
have.
not like you did anything bad. You
No.
just wanted you gone.
No.
You
people
would have
didn't-
invested that back then.
People didn't know I
Yeah.
was going to work in real estate back then. I wasn't greedy.
You're
Yeah.
just a little Welshman.
We're not greedy. Just chase the bag.
Okay, can I just read something that's just come in?
Yeah.
My Apple Watch has just beeped. It's from
Breaking news.
we'll call him Chris because this is his name. He's a friend of mine. Finally got around to getting in on the pod. First episode talking about Popeyes. Had buddies from Newfoundland this week, and they didn't believe me how large the drive-through lines were. Living here in Larry, UTech was hell for those 5 to 10 days. Yeah, I can remember the
Remember that?
lineups.
That was crazy.
Talk about scary things.
Insane as the crane.
Spooky.
Did you guys ever go to Popeyes out there or
Nah, I
no?
don't eat chicken.
I did once. I got my hair cut. I get my hair. My hairdresser lives on my street. Works down that way,
And
I
you go in their place?
I swung by and went in,
Trick or
and I'll
treating
tell you what,
haircuts.
it just tasted like fried chicken.
Yeah,
That checks out.
you know, whatever.
Better in the
Probably
States. Better in the States.
and it's
Popeyes.
also probably better than KFC. KFC's greasy and gross.
I like the Dirty
KFC
Bird.
greasy,
I like KFC.
It's a little gross, a little
Nice
greasy.
big bucket of chicken.
I think the last time I had it, I got sick, so it's just
Bro, I
like
feel
it's a
KFC used to
sore-
be the spot.
It's a sore spot.
So, do you guys have any personal stories of the unexplained? I have one, a recent one, but you probably have some too.
Personal. I guess, well, at St. FX, so, St. FX. There was a residence called Mount St. Bernard, and it was supposedly haunted by this nun called the Blue Nun. And there was 3 or 4 buildings, and it was one building in particular. It's a very, like, St. FX is a very religious school in general. You can see steeples all around the campus if you look around. They're
Oh, I thought it was a cult.
that too, but they're
okay.
everywhere. So, but this particular residence, like, I think it used to be a church. There still is some spookiness to it. And anyways, so the Blue Nun is said to haunt it. And the reason she haunts it is because I guess she, way back whenever that was, a long time ago, had an affair with a priest, which was just an absolute sin. Like, just
God was so
that's
mad.
a big no. Like, even I know that's a no. God
can say that.
brought the hammer down. Anyways, she brought the hammer down herself, and I think she hung herself.
He was gonna have none of that.
Or she jumped. Yeah, he was none of that. She either hung or jumped, but she committed suicide. But now they say to this day the Blue Nun haunts the residence. Now, this is about the whole perspective thing that we were talking about with Monsieur Adams. Is, you know, we would hear banging at night down the hallways, in the, you know, storage rooms, in like. There was a little library. You'd hear stuff there, like not the main library of St. FX. There was a library in one of the residences. You hear creakiness. You hear like a woman screaming. But then at the same time, it's a residence full of students.
Yeah, and old.
What?
I'm assuming it was old. Is it an old residence?
Well, old but redone.
It's still old though.
Yeah, still old.
Yeah, so it's still gonna creak.
So yeah, so it's like people, but because everyone was so ingrained in this Blue Nun
Yeah.
story, every little thing was. So I was that but I succumbed to the lore, as they say, right? Like I was,
fair.
I was very, like
Were you converted?
I was converted. If I heard something, or if I, you know, little noise late at night or whatever, I would be like, "Ooh, Blue Nun kind of vibes." There was one building
That's
in particular, and the crazy thing was, we discover one night. So there's tunnels that run the distance of. They run from one side of campus, not one side, but like a corner to a corner a little bit. And we've discovered the tunnels within our residence. That was probably the creepiest thing. Like you could hear like weird ghoulish noises down the tunnel.
Tunnels led straight to Mexico.
We started walking down the tunnel one night. And I remember we turned back around, but right, you guys are laughing. Tunnels to Mexico?
It's not even that funny, but I laughed.
No,
It's kind of funny.
It is kind of funny. But anyways, so
I have to cut that.
No, it's okay. We keep that humor in. So, I mean, for me, I'm glad we talked about perspective because it wasn't like I had one experience where I was just like, oh God, that was the Blue Nun. It was just like all these little things. I was like, oh, I'm gonna assume it was her and just attribute it to that and stuff. And there are other students who have said they've seen her, up there where she jumped or hung herself. She might have been pregnant too. I don't know. I should have read the story a bit more. And I should
have to go back and ask her.
Yeah.
Go
Why
back.
was she blue again? Was there a reason for that?
Well,
or
I
is it
think
just
her-
like what
I think-
Because she hung herself,
I think
right? She blew.
Jeez, man.
I'm serious there. I'm serious.
No, I was thinking because her nun fit was probably blue.
I thought they were always
Nun
black.
fit, outfit, nun fit.
I thought
like
it was
that.
black. I thought. They
Well,
were
yeah,
supposed
but
to be black.
but it is black. But I'm saying she probably wore a blue one, and she was called Blue Nun.
Oh, because she was.
It's that
ostracized.
vow of chastity. Did you hear about the two nuns sat on the bench?
Here we go.
The naked man ran past. The one nun had a stroke. The other couldn't reach. You're supposed to laugh at that.
I am just not bellowing. I had to like
just
think
don't.
about it for a second there.
I had to let it,
Let
Percolate.
it mellow. No, but
Right.
listen.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Go. Dilly boy, do you got any stories?
No, I'm not religious.
No, nothing. No, I'm not religious either.
No, I'm just.
We're not
I'm
asking
just
for
teasing.
nuns-
I
for
know.
nun
I
stories.
know. I was just joking.
Sorry.
I feel like I'm on the spot. And I really can't think of anything. I was trying to think of my school too, but Mount St. Vincent University, shout out. That was run. That used to be nuns and stuff. They were just up above.
What
They got
about
mad to be
what
part.
about the crows? Is that where the crows?
Oh
descend?
yeah, that was really cool. I can't remember what building that was, but it was off to the right of the main building when you're going up the hill.
Thousands of crows every afternoon.
That was
right?
yeah. I remember I'd had an evening class, and it was just like full of a murder of crows, and it was pretty
St. Max
spooky.
a lot of crows, too.
It was a little spooky, but I don't know if there's any stories. I'm sure there is. I just can't remember them. But personal life outside of that, can't really think of anything off the top of my head.
I feel like I almost
Like-
need to insert myself into these scenarios, like even Mr. Adams, like doing those things and like going somewhere where like that stuff is known to happen. Like there's known paranormal activity and stuff. And then of course at that point my brain's just gonna like
Yeah,
convince.
you'll apply meaning
you'll-
to something
yeah.
because you feel you should. It's
Yeah.
like suggestibility. If you and I went to a seance, we would make the Ouija board work because we want to make it work.
Yeah, well, that's why it
Never done
typically
it-
does
never done
work,
a
isn't
Ouija
it?
board
Everyone's
before.
doing it, and everyone wants it to work, so they all just move together. So the minute someone like feels any sort of force, it goes.
One experience, and I am the most skeptical person in the world for this kind of thing. But when I was younger, there was I think Downton Abbey, like a nice old, a couple hundred years old stately home in the town I grew up in, and they did not ghost tours there, but they just did like evening lights off tours of some of the stranger stories of Captain Henry Morgan, for example, used to own the property. So he told us all these stories, and they were telling this tale that one of the maintenance guys there, when he used to pass a tree line when he was driving home at the end of the night, he'd turn all the lights off when all the visitors had gone. It was like a museum property. And when he went past this certain point on the tree line, the lights would come on. So he would look in his rearview mirror and he'd say, oh, I must have left those lights on in the attic. It was always up in the attic. So he'd drive back. And when he drove back through over the tree line into the grounds, the light would go off again. So he'd leave and it would come on. And the story was that there was apparently one of the servants had hung themselves up in the attic 200 years previously, and they were living in there. And when the maintenance guy left at night, they would put the lights on and live in the attic. So they told us this story. Anyway, about 2 hours later, we were having like Glühwein or something, wine in this tour we were on, and the fire alarm went off, and the whole place lit up with the fire alarm. So the guide came back and he said, yeah, we're going to have to evacuate. We're going to have to evacuate because the fire department want to come, because with these large buildings, if the alarm goes off, often they choose to come to practice what they would do if there was an actual fire. So he switches the main breaker for the building off. He's like, that's our checklist. We switch the main breaker off and we're going to leave and let the fire department come and do their little sweep through. As we retreated beyond the tree line, the lights in the attic came on.
It's a bit spooky.
And we know that there was no electricity running to the building because they had cut it for the fire department. They couldn't have put that little display on for us because it was kind of a serious deal.
Yeah.
So we couldn't understand. And then lo and behold, the fire department left. The lights came on, of course. We went back in and the lights went off again. That's all I have.
No,
But
that's definitely better than at least my story.
people on the tour with us were saying, "Oh my God, that's evidence of the ghost." And I thought, nah, it's just kind of coincidence.
Yeah. It's all about matter of opinion.
Yeah, that's
matter of fact.
But the nice thing
Matter
that
of
night
fact's
was,
nice.
you know, it was good because the firefighters, they were able to come and get some practice. Okay, what's next?
All right. Last but simply not least, the last segment of this podcast, the Reddit Roundup.
Reddit Roundup. Haligonians losing their minds over minor
Inconveniences. Oh, that ending's nice. I like
I would
that.
have done that for $5. I will do it for $5.
There is I will tell you one more time, there is a backstory. Have I told you the backstory to get
You always say you can't say it on the
I
podcast.
cannot tell
every
you on the
time.
podcast.
And you don't tell
This
us
one?
after.
Yeah,
For-
Reddit Roundup. Ask me.
Maybe
me
you said well,
in
after the podcast.
elevator. Ask me in the elevator.
In the elevator. Okay. All right, Reddit Roundup. So we took a bit of a different approach at Reddit Roundup. Obviously, we have a very Halloween themed episode theme, and Mr. Adams told us how things work up at Citadel Hill. He didn't divulge too much into stories, and then I had my own story. We had a couple little small ones there, but we wanted to see what Reddit had to say about spooky, haunted, paranormal situations, and for once, we took matters into our own hands. Can we
Matter of Fax.
Matter of Facts into our own hands because we couldn't rely on somebody else to make the question.
We planted a post.
We planted a post that generated a lot of buzz.
Hundreds and
I'm
hundreds
actually
of.
Buzz Lightyear.
Do you guys actually plan a post?
We planted
Yeah.
a post. We had like 600
Yeah.
upvotes and
I'm upset
190
I didn't see it.
responses.
Maybe I did see it and I didn't realize it. Was it a burner account?
It was a burner account with the username Closer to the Mic.
Closer to the mic. Keep an eye out for Closer
It's a
to
good
the
one.
mic.
It's a good one.
We'll use that for future stuff so you guys will know it's Matter of Facts.
And Mike Savage, I can give you that. It's spelt incorrectly. It's not Closer to the Mic, but the account's yours for $1,500. Just have your people call mine.
Yeah.
Nice.
What was the title? What was the title of your post we made?
What? I'll read you the whole post. It's what's the spookiest / most unexplained thing you've seen or witnessed in Halifax?
Oh, I did see that. I
you
didn't
see
look at
that?
it.
Yeah, that was
I didn't
me.
click on it. I was
The
bored.
body text is we're inching closer to Halloween, and while I'm not asking for direct ghost stories, I'm curious what's the most unexplained or spookiest thing you've witnessed. So much history in our city and so many older buildings with stories to tell. What have you seen? And we got both. Like we got some pretty absurd responses. Like C Slate said, "My power went out for a month and I still got a bill," which is kind of funny. Asking for spooky occurrences that are unexplained. Jetpacks, not buses, said Peter Kelly got elected more than once. But then we had some genuinely interesting stories. My phone just rang.
Is it an important
Can
one?
you take it?
Is it the important one? Is it the
Alec,
important
when
one?
I am with you, the whole world waits.
Just pauses. That means a lot. I'm going to get teary-eyed at that.
Wow, Alec and James forever.
So, Alec,
Round
do you want to
two.
lead us with a story that you liked from these? I got a couple, if not.
Yeah, I saw a couple. One of the funny ones, like you mentioned a couple. One guy said glove guy. One guy said his name was Brute Force Explorer, glove guy. My Rab TW said rent prices. Where was an actual story I liked?
Well, there's one here from Shadow Image, the Smoking Man. I've heard of the Smoking Man before. Have you?
Smoking Man.
No.
I think I read. I did go through. I didn't choose as one of mine, but
Multiple people have mentioned this, and this post, the user on Reddit said, the Smoking Man hangs out at bus stops, but only when it's raining. I randomly mentioned it once in conversation at a party, and multiple people mentioned seeing him. He doesn't talk, he doesn't move, and when the light flickered, it was gone. And I have heard people talking on Reddit before about the Smoking Man. He does get spotted around the city.
Is it just a Halifax thing, or is he like all over the world? This,
I think
this phenomenon.
he's local.
So it's a local horror story. Okay,
He's a
or not horror, but ghost story. Sorry.
oh,
Unless you're terrified by people smoking.
From
should be.
from last podcast, Alec and I love cigarettes.
oh yeah. Dylan
Not
gets spooked.
smoking
He looks
them.
in the mirror, sees himself smoking. I one of the ones I got from Awful Bike Salesman.
That's why I brought a pretty damn awful bike once.
So this, hey buddy. So this one's kind of relatable because I used to work in this establishment. So This guy says every theater in the city is haunted as ball. I don't know what that means.
I think he meant plural balls. Sorry, I'm eating,
Testicles.
I'm eating more chocolate.
Haunted as balls.
As testicles.
Balls are haunted. So Bears Lake, Cineplex, Park Lane, Cineplex, but specifically Bears Lake, every theater is haunted. One guy in particular, he says, most people, unprompted, would have the same experience with the same person in just the same areas. An old man in a beige shirt with gray hair. Just your average LL Bean customer. You'd either walk into empty theaters, see him, wave, and when you look back, he would be gone, or you'd see him entering or leaving your field of vision out of the corner of your eye, only for nothing to be there. This guy says, this is where I kind of call BS a little bit. He goes, I got so used to seeing the dude that I would talk to him on slow shifts. Harmless. Brother, that is an imaginary friend. You are seeing somebody and you're...
You are the crazy one.
You are the guy in the beige shirt. You are the LL Bean customer.
Imaginary friend.
That's an imaginary friend. He's like, I just sit and talk to him the whole time. He also said, I have had seats move when no one was near them. Light switches move. Bins get tipped over. The same perfume smell in places where you should not be smelling fresh perfume. Don't be so naive about what's going on in the theater, my man.
I was just going to say you found other stuff, places where you shouldn't find it.
Then upstairs in the projector rooms, it's ... worse. Haha. He didn't even divulge what that was.
If you have a projector room story, please email us at halifaxpodcast@gmail.com.
We would love to hear it. James, here, if you have another story, I'm going to go find...
Yeah, I have one that's not spooky or unexplained. It's just damn hilarious. So I had to go to the news article this linked to. It's from a user Potato Chip Company. So the post says, about 10 years ago, some guy destroyed his hearse in the Superstore Canadian Tire parking lot behind Quinpool Towers. And then I linked through to the story, and it's very quick. There's a photo... But I'll just read it to you. Almost every car guy has experienced being pushed over the brink by a car so evil it could be characterized as possessed. A man in Halifax, Nova Scotia wanted to perform his own exorcism on an old hearse in a Canadian Tire parking lot before sending it off to the big crusher in the sky over the weekend. After parking the hearse at the Canadian Tire outlet, the man entered the store to procure his exorcism tools, a crowbar and sledgehammer, and after declining the receipt was overheard saying, "When I'm done with these, nobody will want them back." The man then proceeded to release his divine fury on the hearse, which appears to be an old Cadillac, and was standing on the roof with a sledgehammer in hand when the police officers arrived. After cuffing and questioning the man, he agreed to clean up the debris of the evicted demons and was released. He had the salvage company on the way for it, so he wanted to get his licks in before it went, said Sergeant David of Halifax Regional Police. So I looked at the photo, and the photo is of a guy hacking a hearse to pieces in the parking lot. This actually happened. Before it went for crushing, he went into the Canadian Tire and then stood on the roof and hacked the heck out of the car.
I bet you that felt good.
God. Yeah,
That definitely felt good.
Probably was quite a euphoric relief.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest.
It's pretty cool.
Jeez.
What's up with that parking lot and stuff happening to cars? Didn't someone
lit a cigarette when there was a propane tank in there.
Car like blow up because of the God, that parking lot's haunted. There's demons there.
There's one place, like when I think of top haunted places in Halifax, the Five Fishermen is a restaurant just down around the corner from us, actually. And I actually saw it on an episode. There used to be a show called Creepy Canada that I used to watch as a kid that was terrifying me. It had me scared of elevators for years. There was a guy, somehow he lost both his arms on an elevator. I don't know how. It fell to the bottom. Or maybe that's in a separate episode. But there's a guy who lost his arms. That freaked me out because I saw him in my dreams. And then a guy who died on an elevator.
Well, you met the guy without two fingers you were telling us about last
That was the homeless guy. I think that was fake. That was me seeing the ghost of the guy with no arms. I remember seeing him. I had a dream this guy with no arms ran up quick to me and scared the crap out of me.
How would somebody with no arms run up quickly? Wouldn't they just topple over?
But it was like really because on the TV show they had it all sped up.
You have an edge defensively if somebody's not got arms.
You could just punch him.
You could just kick him.
No. And then the guy died in the elevator, so I got freaked out of elevators. But on Creepy Canada, Five Fishermen was actually featured on it. So I encourage you go watch the Five Fishermen episode. The Five Fishermen has been around for a long time. It's been around for the Titanic. It's been around for the Halifax explosion. There were people in the restaurant when the Halifax explosion went down. So there's a rich history of hauntings and stories and whatnot. All right, I got one more here from the Reddit post we put up. This is from Dull-Building 167. They said, not in Halifax, but I was walking home from No Frills in Dartmouth at around 11 p.m. and a dude rode by on a bicycle. In one hand, he had a bottle of booze, and the other was a pistol. I thought it's I thought I was seeing things, but my partner saw it still. I still wonder, WTF, he was up to. James, what were you up to that night? What was that all about?
Oh, yeah, I'd have to kill you if I told you, but I have the means.
That's an interesting one. That's the funniest thing. I guess they took your question literally, right? Like something that's most unexplained. Like I mean, I could probably explain what might have been going down there and what Buddy might have been thinking about going to do, but they
just having a good time.
They didn't think to call the cops, and they're like, oh, well, this seems...
Well, thank you to everyone on Reddit, because they didn't know that we were doing this to put them on a podcast. And I didn't want to say we were, because people would just start driveling crap off that they want you to read out on a podcast.
Yeah.
So that is Reddit Roundup, and I think we call that an episode, right? That's good.
That's an episode. That's the spooky episode. Great to have Mr. Adams on. He was...
Thank you, Mr. Adams.
Yeah, he's a very
he was a good guy.
very cool guest. I'd love to have him on again. Like you could tell, he really enjoyed it. So and it's nice to have we have our guests on, and we do have some more lined up, and we're gonna tackle some pretty important topics and ones that are of interest to our listeners. But it's nice to have a guy on to just talk and freeload it and go for it and just hear what he has to say. That was really good.
Yeah.
Well, we're very grateful to him and for everybody on Reddit who unknowingly took part in our episode today.
Yeah.
And we will be back in November. We're creeping close to the end of the year. I think we're deciding what we're going to be doing for our Matter of Fax Christmas episode. The one thing Alec and I have discussed is, and it would apply to Dylan as well, is we're probably going to try to bring the significant others, girlfriends, spouses, ladies in and have everyone here for a bit of a podcast party.
Yeah.
Spooky.
It is, that could be a spooky episode too. That could get pretty spooky. Yeah. Might have to go somewhere before, come here, record, go back out.
Oh, it'll be a buzzed podcast for sure.
Oh, yeah.
But we have one more episode coming up in November before that, which I'm greatly looking forward to. Halifax, please keep being crazy and absurd and creating content for us. We cannot do it without you. We rely on you doing things that you shouldn't be, so we have stuff to talk about.
Yeah, please keep liking, sharing, downloading, subscribing, all those great things. Get the word out there. If you have an idea, you want us to cover a certain topic, and maybe we can find a cool guest, let us know. Is it halifaxpodcast@gmail.com?
Yes, or LinkedIn for Alec Cranston or James Collins or Dylan Curry, and we will definitely either share the message with everyone, or if we don't like your idea, we'll
pretend we didn't get it.
We'll just say thanks and delete it.
Or that too.
Yep.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.